Good afternoon, everybody. Or wait a minute. Not quite afternoon yet. So, good morning. Happy Sunday. Um, Everybody has been enjoying the recent video coverage of the Air Power over IAC Warburton Classic event, so that is fantastic. So probably toward the end of next week, I'll be posting the third installment and final installment of that event coverage. So in the meantime, this weekend has been quite cold, which is not a huge deal, but it's been very windy. So that means no flying for me, not in the mood. So I decided to get some work done on the Cap 21. Now, just to recap, Cap 21. That's pretty funny. I cracked myself up. This is a 90-inch Cap 21 built from a set of plans that were published in Model Aviation back in the early 80s. And there it is right there. June of 1982. This plane was built for the purpose of flying in the Tournament of Champions. Very, very unique layout, especially as far as the airfoils go. So, what I have done so far, and I've gotten quite a bit done, is the tail section is pretty much completely finished. Everything is sheeted, faced, beveled, hinged. As we can see here, got a nice bevel going down there. Looks really good. Yeah, everything is all sealed up, and these turned out quite nice. It turned out a little heavier than I would have liked because on the stab is pretty much the same situation as the wing, where you have two foam core pieces that are sheeted and glued together. So this is just epoxied together. Now the trailing edge face is one solid piece. So this is not only acting as the face of the trailing edge for a harder area for my hinges to go through. It's kind of the joiner slash spar. So this is a piece of 1/4 inch balsa, but it is a rather heavier piece of 1/4 inch. So, yeah, I should have used a lighter weight balsa for that, but at the same time, I know that's not going anywhere. So that turned out real good. And also have the fin and rudder completed. I mean, you can definitely tell it's a Cap 21. And I tell you what, there's just something to be said about making things out of foam cores. I mean, it just turns out so perfect every time. And the fact that I cut the cores myself is just a little added neat factor for this project. Once again, everything is faced. The counterbalance slash tip is put on. That's all sanded. That looks really good. The only thing I haven't finished is the bottom of the rudder is going to be rounded as far as the bottom corners. But I can't do that until the tail's actually mounted to the fuselage, because it's going to be blending into the fuselage. So I can't do that just yet. I mean, I could, but there's a good chance that I'll be redoing it so it actually matches the fuselage. So we're going to leave that be for now. So let's see what else have we done here. So the wings are pretty much complete. Well, not complete, but I'm trying to remember what I covered in the last video, but everything is sheeted. You can see that I did put spars in the wings, because per the plans, these wings are supposed to be glassed. In the center section, from like here to here, kind of at an angle, is supposed to be 4-ounce cloth, and the rest of the wing 2-ounce cloth. That gives it a ton of strength, which is why it was not intended to have spars, but this is going to be covered in a monocoat type material, so I wanted a little extra strength in there. And plus, because of the way that I did this slot in here is for my wing joiner. Now, the wing joiner is not only going to be glued to both sides of the foam core, but also to the top and bottom sheeting, and it's going to be attached directly to the back side of the spars. And you can see I got a hole in there. Look at that. Ooh, I should probably discuss that. How do I make this hole? Now, it's not exactly pretty. It's, you know, kind of goes through kind of at a wonky angle, but it is a solid hole. And what I mean by that is it's hard. Like the inside of that is very rock hard, almost like it's actually a tube in there. And how I do that, and there's so many better ways to do it than I do. I take just a piece of 1/4 inch steel rod, and I heat the end of it till it's cherry red. And then I just stick the wing up on end, like on my feet, and then I just carefully start dropping that rod into the wing. And I already had my openings here for the servos to use as a guide for how far I need to come down and where it needs to line up. And it always works. I mean, even if the hole kind of does one of these numbers or even goes up against the sheeting, it doesn't matter. I just need a good solid passway right here for that servo screw to pass, or for the servo wires to pass through. As you can see, I did cut a pocket to accommodate a standard size servo. I don't like this. So what I'm going to do is actually cut a 3-inch square. Then I'm going to make a door with a servo with an arm popping through the door, just to make it a little bit cleaner setup, because after all, this is a Cap 21. We need all the help we can get. So that is all done. I think I went over the joiner already. It's nothing fancy. To get the thickness that I needed, I took a piece of, what is that? It's not 1/8 inch balsa. It's a little thicker than 8-inch. But a 1/8 inch piece of light ply laminated to a piece of whatever balsa. Because it doesn't matter how strong it is this way. It needs to be strong this way. So it is perfectly strong, and you can see how the dihedral works in this airplane. The top portion of this joiner is flat, where the bottom is angled. So the dihedral is all in the airfoil shape of the wing. So the top of the wing will be perfectly flat, and the bottom will have the dihedral. So that'll work out good. And speaking of airfoils, I know I've gone over this, but it still just amazes me. Check out the wicked airfoil on this airplane, with the high point of the airfoil being almost within the first 5% of the wing. Now what that does is that creates a very high lift, but also high drag airfoil. Now what that does is that's going to make it so the airplane has a very good constant speed, both in straight and level and vertical lines. And on down lines with the throttle pulled back, that's where the high drag of this airfoil comes into play, and the plane will come down very slow. Because when you're performing aerobatic maneuvers, especially back in the good old days before we had all these super lightweight Swiss cheese flippity-floppity airplanes, you know, a heavy airplane like this on a vertical downline is, even at idle, it's going to come down at Mach 1. So this particular airfoil helps that situation to keep the speed of the airplane, whether it's straight and level, vertical up, or vertical down, to keep a very constant speed. So that works good. The only areas that I have deviated from the plans thus far are how the wing goes together, and the facing on the elevators. The trailing edge face is 1/4 inch, and the leading edge face for the elevators that gets beveled is supposed to be 1/4 inch. I used 3/8 just so I can get a little bit more movement. The rudder already called for 3/8, so that's got plenty of movement already, so that's good. And I'm going to do the same situation for the wings. So the trailing edge facing that's on the wing right now that's drying is a very light, very soft balsa, and that's a 1/4 inch. And on the leading edge of the ailerons, I'm going to put 3/8, just so it gives me a little bit more bevel. So I'm trying to think what else. Oh yeah, hold on. So, as we all know, I watch a lot of TV, and I stumbled across this guy right here. And I have been watching all of his build videos on this airplane. He's building an old school sweet and low. which is a low wing ugly stick design, quarter scale size, and he's an old school builder, which is freaking awesome. And just from watching him build this basic giant scale sport plane, I have actually learned a hell of a lot. So definitely check him out. There's his channel right there, Rick's RC Flying. Awesome stuff. I mean, just on cutting and bending aluminum landing gear, the way that he does it and how he gets the temperature right, I never would have thought. Holy crap. So I'm learning. Check him out. This is good stuff. Almost as good as my videos. Actually better. So anyways, that's where we're at. Just wanted to give a quick update on this. It's getting closer to fall, which means I'll be doing more building and less flying. So I'm going to keep working on this throughout the day, then I'm going to put it away for a while, because I still have a couple more events to go to. But one thing I did want to go over, I had somebody ask in the previous video on, I do mention that I use Gorilla Glue quite often, and kind of confusion on what kind of glue I'm using. So when I just say Gorilla Glue, I'm talking about the original stuff right here. The original Gorilla. This is the urethane glue that expands. Okay, I use that to apply the sheeting to the foam, and that works extremely well. Actually, I have a couple pieces here. These were some pieces that I cut off my elevators. This just kind of shows you how well using the Gorilla expanding glue works for attaching skins to foam cores. I mean, you can already see right here where I've tried to pull it apart. I'm trying to pull the skins off of there, trying not to break my fingers, and I'm breaking the foam. The sheeting is not coming off the foam, it's ripping the sheeting and the foam off in one piece. So this is really good stuff. It's hard to see on camera, but you can kind of see where the sheeting meets the foam, that it kind of has a little bit of a yellowish kind of color. That's because that expanding foam does soak into that, or that expanding glue does soak into the foam a little bit, and just makes a killer bond. I mean, you know, I have to break the whole thing. You know, that sheeting is not coming off the foam. So good stuff. Glad I kept that so I can show you. Now, I also refer to using Gorilla Wood Glue, which is just carpenter glue, like Type Bond or anything else. Now, I started using the Gorilla Wood Glue, I think 3 years ago, and that's all I use now for applications of wood glue. I primarily build using CA and epoxies, but if I'm going to use wood glue, I'm going to use the Gorilla stuff. Like, for instance, right here, to attach these trailing edge faces onto my wings, I used the Gorilla Wood Glue. And this stuff, the reason I like it is I apply a small bead right to the end of the wing and just smear it back and forth with my fingers. And you don't want a ton of it on there. That's the key. You want as little as possible. And then when you put this trailing edge piece on there, you kind of slide it back and forth a couple times, and you'll actually feel it kind of start to lock and kind of grab a little bit. And then just tape it. And after about 15 minutes, I can take this tape off, and after 30 minutes to 45 minutes, I can sand these trailing edge faces to match up with the wing. So it's really good stuff. So whenever I refer to Gorilla Glue, I'm talking about the urethane. When I say Gorilla Wood Glue, I'm talking about the carpenter style glue. So that's about all I have to say about that. I'm trying to think what else I got going on. I have not done anything else on the Carf T6. The center section is completely, completely finished. So all the gear doors and everything are reattached. Everything is working good. So that's kind of where I left off with that. And yeah, I even made a nice little mounting system here. I built these little carts. They're on casters. And these work good for putting these bigger airplanes to store in my shop, because you can see I don't have a ton of room, and what room I have is filled with airplanes. So this way I can move these things around rather easily. and it kind of keeps everything tucked away. So that works good. So for now, I think that'll do it. Just wanted to give you a quick little update on what's going on here with this bad boy. It's really coming along. I'm excited. Ooh, yeah, I did also. It's kind of hard to see, but it is up there. I got the fiberglass cowling for it and a canopy from Fiberglass Specialties. Fantastic. So if this airplane turns out to fly really well and I like it, I'm probably going to buy another 2 sets of the canopies and cowls just in case. And if it really, 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 really flies good, I may blow up the plans and make a 100cc version. We'll see. But there's so much involved in that. Making your own foam core wing with wing tubes and all that stuff, it becomes an entirely different. It's a whole new ballpark of construction. Let's put it that way. Because then to put the sleeve in for the wing tubes, I mean, you got to build jigs so you can have a bit that goes in there and makes it absolutely perfect. So it gets pretty complex real fast. So we'll see. We'll see. This one at 90 inches is big enough for me. So I think until next time, I may be going to a more local event next weekend. If I do, I'll definitely take the camera with me. Other than that, there will be no more event coverage videos this season. I'm all done. Not to say I won't make any more videos for flying, just, regular stuff, but to my knowledge, I'm pretty much done for the season, and we'll just be doing some build update videos. So we'll see how things go. There might be some things creeping up in the future. We'll see. I'm actually selling a few airplanes at the moment. So stay tuned. There may be some surprises. Later.